Hi everybody. I'm making a short video today to talk about building powers in Gemini. Now I'm going to be using Gemini Studio to build this power. So Gemini Studio is in alpha right now, and if you want to join, send me your email, send me your target device, and I'll get you into the appropriate alpha. It runs on Android and iOS, so it's got a wide area of coverage. If you have one of those devices and you want to join, let me know. So I'm going to pop open the app. And I'm building a character already for a playtest that I'm going to be running shortly in my hometown here. I'm building a bunch of characters to basically playtest for the playtest itself, because I have a bunch of players and I basically just want to drop a folder of characters on the table and let them pick the one they want. And I want there to be lots of characters for people to choose from, because I don't want people to feel like they're stuck with something they don't want. I want lots of options. And as I went through my characters, I realized that I didn't have a pure rogue archetype. So I wanted to build a rogue, and I've been building a character named Thelly Tam. I'm going to find her in the UI. So this is Thelly. She's in progress. So I'm going to hit edit. And you can see right now she's at 76 points. I'm building with an 80-point ceiling, so she's only got 4 points to play around with. And you can see, she's already spent some points in different areas. Like she's spent a lot of points in attributes and skills, and she's got some martial arts as well. Just in general, Thelly is she's a gnome. She's actually a rock gnome. Is her species? So let me just save that. And she's a treasure hunter. So I'm going for like an Indiana Jones kind of thing, where she's like she may even have a fedora. I don't know. I haven't gone there yet. But I'm thinking, gadgets and treasure hunter kind of stuff. So adventurer stuff. So she's hopefully going to be interesting to somebody. The powers that we're going to build now. So she's already got some powers, and these are from being a rock gnome. So these are species powers. And it's very common in certain types of games that where species are varied, that species have different abilities. One species may be stronger than another, and one may have a special ability, etc. And the way in Gemini you capture that is with a species template. I'm not going to go into it beyond that because it's sort of out of scope of this video. So what we want to do is we want to give her a very iconic ability for the rogue archetype in these types of games. We want to give her a backstab ability. And the backstab ability, for those of you unfamiliar, is basically a rogue must be behind the target, or they must surprise the target in order to use the ability and to do damage. And generally speaking, the damage is pretty high on these abilities. So let's hit the new button. And you can see that, right now, the power that was selected for us by default was absorption, and that is because absorption is alphabetically first in the list. So we actually want the attack melee power. So I'm going to touch the absorption UI element, and that's going to pop up this UI to search for the attack melee, or to just scroll through and find it. Now it's up at the top, so I'm just going to touch it, and you can see that the UI has changed and updated so that the power is there. So underneath the attack melee UI selector is the damage. And the damage in this case is plus 0d plus 1. So the way this works is she would take her strength, which is at 2 dice, and she would add 1 pip to it. So Miss Tam, when attacking with his ability right now, would do 2d plus 1 damage. Not a lot of damage. So the way that we increase that is by feeding the power ranks. So underneath the damage is the rank slider, which allows you to sort of define how powerful the ability is. Generally speaking, the more ranks you put into an ability, the more powerful it is in Gemini. So I'm going to start by dragging out the slider to 10, because I'm building with a 10 rank limitation. Now, you could go over the 10 rank limitation if you wanted to, but as a player, you should generally speak to your GM before you do that, because the 10 rank limitation is there to keep things balanced, or relatively balanced between players. Now, I'm going to give the ability a name. I'm going to call it Flanking Strike. And what this, I'm going to save it. before I do that, you can actually hit the info button at the bottom of the screen to bring up information about the power. So this is sort of like a help entry. So if you're not sure about the power, you can actually just read up on it in the app. So I'm going to hit save. And I'm going to go to the bottom of the list because that's where the power is going to be inserted. I don't want it at the bottom. I want it at the top because that's just easier to look at. So I'm going to long touch the card. And then I'm going to drag it all the way up to the top. And I'm going to let it go. And there we go. So flanking strike, now that it's at the top, you can see next to the flanking strike, there's a die code, 5D plus 1. So that is the total damage Sully will do with her strength. So it's been factored in to the power. And then next to that, in the far right-hand corner in the top, there's 3 numbers. Those numbers all represent something special. So the 10, the first 10, is the ranks of the power. That's the raw ranks that we slid that slider to in the last screen. So that would be why it says 10. And the second power, or the second number that says 10, that is the effective ranks of the power. The effective ranks of the power is any enhancements that have been added to the power. Enhancements basically make a power more potent in some way. And because they make it more potent, they increase the cost of the power. So if you have enhancements, then the second number, the middle number, will be higher than the first number. We don't have any enhancements, so it's actually the same. So 10, 10, because we don't have any enhancements. The third number is the effective rank of the power, so that's the middle number, minus any limitations that we've applied to the power. Now, limitations are basically complications that you add to a power to reflect a problem either activating the power or operating the power. Now, based on the power's name, you can kind of guess how this is supposed to be used. Now, right now, the way the power has been defined, it's just a raw power, which means that, first of all, Miss Tam does not need a weapon to use this ability. She can just punch people and she would do that much damage, which is kind of not in the spirit of what we were building. It's a fantasy game, and swordplay and stuff like that is pretty common. So let's go into the power again. And this time, let's go to the limitations tab, and let's add a limitation. And activation is selected because it's alphabetically first. Now, we want to apply a general limitation that says that she has to be flanking the target. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to find the limited power limitation, and we're going to touch that. Now, before we get going, you can touch at the bottom of the screen. There's the save, info, and cancel icons. If you touch the info icon, it'll bring up the in-game help for that limitation. Again, just useful if you're not sure about how things work. You can read up on it in-game. So this particular power, flanking the target is, it's fairly uncommon. Well, no, it's fairly common. So let's say -2. And the limitation here is must be flanking target. And we're going to hit save. I'm going to open that up, and you can see the limited power here in this case is must be flanking target. So as we've defined it right now, Miss Tam could go up and attack somebody with her bare hand, and she can do 5D plus 1 as long as she is behind or flanking the target. So flanking, means basically she can't be directly in front of the target is essentially what this power means. So now the power is not usable if she's directly in front of the target, which is a limitation, which is fairly serious because, if she's in a straight up fair fight, she can't actually use her dirty tricks. So we're still not done though, because we want to make it so that she needs a weapon to use this ability. So let's go to add. And let's go to, again, limited power. And we're going to say -3. Let's say -3. It's not just any type of weapon. It's a melee weapon. We're going to hit save. And that power, or that limitation is there. Now there's still one limitation that I think we might be able to get away with putting on this power. So let's go to add. And let's look for it. We're going to go to, we could put extra time on it if we wanted to, but I don't think that's really what we want to do. Let's go to restrainable. Oops. So restrainable basically means if somebody comes up and grabs her arms, she's not going to be able to use this power. Now it's sort of implied, but you know, I think you can get away with it. I think you can get away with it. People might disagree, but I'm going to let it go. So I'm going to hit save. And now we can see we've got -2, -3, -3. So you total those up, and you've got -8 points on this power. So let's save. Now let's look at the power cost. So you'll see those 3 numbers that we went over before, they've changed. The first 2 are actually the same, so the ranks hasn't changed, it's 10. The effective ranks hasn't changed, the middle number. So the middle number hasn't changed because we never applied any enhancements to this power. The last number did change. The last number, again, is the effective ranks, so the middle number, minus limitations. So we had 8 points of limitations on the last screen, so we're at 2 points. So now the power, I think, is done. So let's pop it open. We can see, you know, this is how it looks from this UI. And let's go over to the overview, and we can see that it's been updated to reflect the current amount of points that she is worth, which is 78. So she was at 76. We've added a 2-point power to her, so she's now at 78. Now that means that I probably have enough points to maybe squeeze in a couple of gadgets for her, like maybe a gliding cloak or something fun for her to use. I'm probably going to finish her off at that point and then move on to the next character. So that's essentially it for this. I'm going to hit save, and then, yeah, I mean, again, this is an alpha version of the app. If you want into the alpha, send me your email, send me your target device, and I will get you into the appropriate alpha. If you have questions about the game or about the app, leave a comment. You know, find me on the Hero Games forum, find me on the Hero Games Discord server. I'm around to answer questions. Again, thank you for watching, and have fun.